expand our imagination.
Justification for being what you are.
And welcome to Washington Unplugged. I'm Bill Plante. This webcast is a year old this week, and we're celebrating. How about snow cones all around, all you can eat? Because Washington, D.C. has been inundated with yet another winter storm. This one might even meet the technical definition of a blizzard. Winds of at least 35 miles an hour, visibility less than a quarter mile. But our crack technical staff saw it coming, so we planned ahead. And we talked yesterday to White House Domestic Policy Advisor Melody Barnes about the First Lady's new childhood obesity initiative and the bipartisan health care effort. Watch. The Task Force on Childhood Obesity. Tell us a little bit about what it's supposed to do.
Well, the first thing it's doing is addressing what Americans have said is a very critical issue. Republicans, Democrats, Independents have all recognized that the rate of childhood obesity, in fact, it's tripled in over the last 3 decades, is significant. Our children aren't as healthy as they could be and certainly aren't as happy as they could be. So what we intend to do is to work together to marshal federal resources to support this effort, while at the same time we're reaching out to the private sector, working in concert with the sports leagues, working with the pediatricians, working with a range of different organizations, including those foundation that's come together to support this effort to make sure that we're adhering to 4 different things. We want to make sure that parents have access to the information they need. We want to make sure that our schools are serving the healthiest foods to our children. We also want to make sure that in neighborhoods they've got access to fresh foods and vegetables in grocery stores, and that our children are getting the kind of exercise that they really need if they're going to be healthy.
This is the kind of stuff you really can't legislate. You have to persuade, right?
Well, it's a combination of things. I think part of it is about awareness, and one of the partnerships that we're launching includes work with Disney and Universal and a whole host of others to make sure that people know about this issue and have the information that they need. Part of it is about making sure that, as I said, that our schools are serving the best foods. We're doing that through the Child Nutrition Reauthorization Act, something that our cabinet secretaries are working on. But I think part of it is also increasing awareness, something the First Lady has been doing through her garden, something that she'll do around the country as she talks about this issue.
Of course, there are folks out there who say this isn't the kind of thing government should be involved in. What do you say? Well,
I think they're right about part of that, and that's why this is a joint effort. We know that the answers to all of this won't come from the White House, that the government won't be sitting at people's dinner tables, nor should it be. That, in fact, parents will be making those decisions. But in order to make those decisions, they need the right tools. They need the information. They need to be able to go to a grocery store that exists in their neighborhood and actually has fresh fruits and vegetables, as opposed to some sad-looking peach or banana that their child won't want to eat. And that when they send their children off to school, that in fact they're getting access to the healthiest lunches and breakfasts.
So Domestic Policy Council, that's yours. It's a big, broad subject. How do you decide what to focus on at any given time?
Well, the president obviously sets the agenda. It's something we talked about quite a bit during the campaign. So some of the issues at the forefront for us include education, something that we've been moving on with the Race to the Top initiative, and as we've been talking about higher education as well as early education through a bill that the House recently passed and we're hoping the Senate will take up soon. So we also are talking and working with our colleagues on issues around health care, something that's obviously very important to the country, and job training to make sure that as we bring this economy back, that people are prepared for the jobs that are going to be created.
At the very spot where you're standing, the 2 leaders of the Republican House and Senate said that you have to scrap the president's health care bills in the House and Senate and start over.
I don't think the American people want to start over. This isn't like a board game we used to play as kids where you go back to the starting line if you happen to land on the wrong block. In fact, the American people are clamoring for this. They've seen their premiums go up. In fact, in California, they're talking about premiums from one health insurer going up by 39%. And at the same time, individuals and families' wages are going down. We know that small businesses are struggling under this burden, and certainly our national economy is struggling under this burden. People don't want to start at the beginning, In fact, I think they want to do what the president has called for and what he wants to do in 2 weeks. Sit down, look at the issues that are important to Republicans, talk about the bill that we've been working on, take the best of that information to make sure that we're reducing costs, to make sure that we're providing adequate coverage, and that we're getting the right insurance reforms into place.
But are you running out of time? This is an election year. At some point, no more business gets done on Capitol Hill. It's all politics.
Well, I think we're very, very close to the finish line. So this is a matter of coming together and hearing the American people who say, we want this done, get it done, work together to make sure that this happens.
What's been the most frustrating thing about your job in the first year?
Well, I think in part the fact that we've been working so hard on issues like healthcare and others, and we want to get them over the finish line. And also, I think communicating that to the American public so they understand we came in with tough circumstances, an economy that hasn't been this bad since the Great Depression. We've had to do, as the president said, some things that may not have always been popular, but have always been necessary, and communicating that to the American people in a way that they understand why we're doing what we're doing, and now using this opportunity to move forward.
Melody Barnes, thank you very much.
Great, thanks so much.
Now, Washingtonians have long had a reputation for being, how shall I say this, dainty, or maybe even totally wussy about winter weather. The nearly back-to-back storms have pretty much closed this city down, and now the nation's capital continues to dig out. Our Bob Orr spoke with the Washington Post's Metro reporter Paul Schwartzmann yesterday. Take a look.
Hi, this is Bob Orr in the safety and the warmth of the newsroom. The third big storm of the year is pounding the mid-Atlantic states right now. And with me to talk about this is a Metro reporter to Washington Post, Paul Schwartzmann. Paul, you've had the unpleasant duty of having to be in the middle of all this. What's going on here? Why 3 in a row?
Well, you'll have to talk to a weather specialist for that. I can only tell you what it's like to be on the ground, and it's kind of tiring. You know, we're digging out, and then here comes another one. I think they're talking like 10 to 20 inches today, and people are barely, you know, getting out from the 30 inches they just got. So, you know, I left my wife at home with our 3 children today, and I was thankful to get to work, but I think probably a lot of people around here are having quite a dose of cabin fever.
What about all these cute names? I guess some people think they're cute. Snowpocalypse?
Well, it's like, what else are you going to do with your time? You're just sitting there, you're stuck in snow, you got to do something with your imagination. Snowpocalypse, Snowmageddon, Snow My God. I mean, you know, it's just another thing to get you through the day without drinking, or at least before you start drinking.
Now, you've been out there, you've seen this firsthand, coming and going. How is the area coping? How are we doing here?
You know, I think historically the region doesn't have the best reputation for handling snow. They're what you would call snowussies, is how we kind of refer to them. But people seem to have gotten some experience with this, and they're got their shovels and they're bearing up under it. I think, you know, at some level you just have to surrender and let it just take over, and then you're fine.
Is there any pleasure in knowing that maybe we're going to set a record?
Well,
or maybe satisfaction's a better word. Any satisfaction?
Well, you know, when Obama took office, he basically told the District of Columbia that we weren't very manly when it came to snow, that, you know, we cancel school too easily. So here we are. We're going about our paces. Yes, the federal government is closed. Yes, schools are closed. But people are holding up pretty well, and I think that there's a certain amount of pride that goes along with that. But historically, you know, the region is, you know, at the faintest whiff of snow, people begin to panic. And I think that they're, if nothing else, becoming veterans of this.
One thing I wanted to ask you, I've been here for a while myself, and it used to be if the forecast was 2 inches of snow, everybody would panic and traffic would come to a standstill. Now we throw around things like 10 inches, 20 inches, and it's almost becoming the norm.
Whatever, we're like North Dakota here. Bring it on, baby. Let me just get to my Safeway and get another jug of milk and I'm cool.
Hey, can I ask you about stores? Stores have been overrun with people. But I want to know this. Why does everybody buy bread, milk, and eggs?
You know, those are staples. I guess it's a pretty conservative area. Maybe if you were up in New York, people would be buying, you know, M&Ms and Johnny Walker Red. But down here, people are good, basic, you know, solid bureaucrats, and they're going to go out and get their milk and bread.
And finally, everybody is frustrated by this. I mean, it's been tough. You've shoveled the driveway multiple times. How do you relieve the frustration that you feel from not only living with this, but having to work with it also?
I yell at my kids a lot. No, I shovel. I'm just kind of amused by the whole thing, really. Plus, I live close enough to the post that I could walk, so I'm not out stuck in my car. That probably accounts for my more pleasant mood than anything else.
Let me just clarify. You actually find this amusing? Oh,
yeah. I mean, you know, it's snow, for God's sakes. I mean, it's not Haiti where they had an earthquake. It's snow. We're going to be snowed in for a few days, and then we're going to get up, and we're going to go back to work, go back to school, and everything's just going to be fine. And finally, Paul, what do your weather folks tell you about what's coming next? Do we have another big one in the chain here? I just know about the 10 to 20 later today and into tomorrow. I don't know anything about beyond that. Are you telling me something I don't know about? I sure hope not. Paul Schwartzmann at the Washington Post, thanks for joining us. Thank you. Good luck with your shoveling. Thanks.
Well, whether you're sitting at home watching this and making up unkind names for the weather, or whether you're watching this on a laptop seated outside at a coffee shop in some beautiful climate, I hate you. In either case, thanks for watching Washington Unplugged. Stay home, stay dry, stay safe. I'm Bill Plante.
If we don't expand our imagination,
justification for being what you are,